I didn't film any of this. I didn't edit it either. One prompt. Claude did the rest. Here's the thing about Claude. It can talk about video all day. It just can't make any. So today, I gave it hands. There's an official Higgsfield connector that plugs straight into Claude. Once it's in, Claude can generate images, render video, cut verticals, and score the result, without you opening a single other app. I'm going to build an ad with it. Start to finish, one prompt, nothing cut out. You'll see exactly what it gets right, and you'll see the one place it pushed back and told me no. This is Higgsfield. Normally you'd work in here by hand, picking models, writing prompts, waiting on renders. We're not going to do any of that. We're going to let Claude drive the whole thing. Settings. Connectors. Add custom connector. Name it Higgsfield. Paste the address, mcp.higgsfield.ai/mcp. Add. Approve the access, and that's it. That's the whole install. 30 seconds, and Claude just picked up a full production stack. Now the only thing I actually write. I'm asking for a viral style ad for an energy drink called Noxa. Made up brand, plain black can, nothing written on it. I'll come back to why the can is empty in a second. The important part is how I describe the look. Shot on a phone, handheld, natural window light, no color grading, slightly overexposed, visible grain, imperfect framing. Every one of those words is doing work. Here's what I learned the hard way. The first time I tried this, I asked for something cinematic. And I got cinematic. Beautiful lighting, perfect framing, gorgeous camera moves. It looked like a commercial. Which meant it looked like an ad. Which meant nobody would watch it. The thing that makes a phone video feel real is that it's slightly wrong. The window is blown out. There's grain in the shadows. The frame isn't centered. Your eye reads all of that as unedited, and unedited reads as true. So the second half of my prompt is entirely about what not to do. Not cinematic, not polished, not a stock commercial. Then the poses. This is the other thing that gives AI video away. If you say person holding the can, you get a person holding the can. Arm out, product-facing camera, like a shopping channel. Nobody has ever held a drink that way in their life. So I don't describe poses at all. I describe actions. Walking, sitting down, opening the fridge, wiping sweat, checking a phone, hands busy with one ordinary thing. The body sorts itself out. And the empty can? That's a legal thing. If you let an AI put a label on a product, it will draw you something that looks a lot like a brand that already exists. So I told it, plain matte black, one small word mark, no other text, no logos, no barcodes, nothing that could belong to somebody else. Then 6 numbered steps. Write the script, make the reference stills, render the clips, cut it vertical, score it for virality. And one line at the end. Pick the right model per shot yourself. That last line is the whole point of this video. I'm not telling it which engine to use. I want to see what it chooses. Enter. What? Watch what it does first. It doesn't jump to video. It writes the shot list, then generates a still for every single shot. And it picked Nano Banana Pro to do it. That order matters more than it looks. Video generation is the expensive part, in money and in time. If a pose is wrong, you want to catch it in a still that took 10 seconds, not 4 seconds into a render you're going to throw away. And look at the frames coming back. Ordinary bedroom. Morning light through a window. Unmade bed. Guy in a plain shirt who looks like he just woke up. That's what I asked for, and that's what showed up. Now, clips. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting. It didn't use one engine. It split them. Seedance 2.0 for the calm holds. The shots where somebody's just sitting there with the can. And Kling 3.0 for the movement. The walking, the wiping, anything where a body has to travel across the frame. Nobody told it to do that. I never named a model. I said, pick the right one yourself. And it went and made an actual editorial decision about which engine handles motion better. That's the part I'd point at if someone asked me what this connector is really for. It isn't a button that makes video. It's an agent that knows which tool fits which shot and reaches for it on its own. 6. Clips, assembled, 9:16 vertical, ready to post. And notice it comes back at 24 seconds. I asked for 15. It tells me why. Every model it used has a 4-second floor per clip. 6 shots, 4 seconds each, 24. There was no way to go shorter without dropping shots. I'm leaving that in on purpose. It didn't quietly hand me something wrong and hope I wouldn't check the runtime. It hit a real limit, told me what the limit was, and offered me 2 ways around it. That's the difference between a tool that works and a tool you can trust. I'd rather be told no than be handed something broken. So here's everything that came out of one message. A 6-shot script, 6 approved reference stills, 6 rendered clips across 2 different engines, a finished vertical cut, and a virality read on top of it. I typed 1 prompt and approved some pictures. That last part is newer, and almost nobody has shown it yet. It runs the finished cut through a Virality Predictor, hook strength, retention risk, where attention lands across the first few seconds, mapped onto the parts of the brain that are actually doing the looking. You're seeing this before you post, not after it flops and you're scrolling through analytics trying to work out what went wrong. That's the whole difference between guessing and knowing. And ad is just one thing you can do with this. Let me show you the rest of it, because most of it I haven't even touched today. Paste a YouTube link, and it finds the strongest moments, cuts them, adds subtitles, and hands you vertical clips for shorts, reels, and TikTok. 1 long video becomes 20 short ones, and you didn't open an editor. Change aspect ratio without cropping anybody's head off. 16:9 into 9:16. With a reference image holding the background so the frame fills properly instead of being letterboxed or butchered. Paste a competitor's ad and it reads the structure. Hook, pacing, where the call to action lands, and rebuilds the same shape in your own brand. And if you live in Premiere or After Effects, there are plugins. So you generate shots, transitions, and upscales without ever leaving your timeline. You can also chain it with a second connector, so one agent researches competitors, generates the creative, launches the ads, and scales what works. No manual step in the middle. Same connector, same 30-second install. That's what's sitting behind that one address you pasted. Now let me put a number on what you just watched. An ad like that one, concept, shot list, casting, a shoot day, and edit, is a $3,000 to $5,000 job. 2 weeks if the schedule holds and nobody gets sick. This took one afternoon and one prompt. I'm not going to tell you it replaces a film crew, because it doesn't. A good director will still beat this every time. What it replaces is the 20 ads you never made. The ones you thought about and didn't shoot, because each one cost too much to be worth a maybe. That's the actual unlock here. It isn't the quality of any single ad, it's the number of shots you get to take. 10 mediocre ads and one that lands will beat one careful ad every single time. And now, you can afford to find out which one lands. If you want to try it, the whole install is what you saw at the start. Settings, connectors, ad, paste the address. Done. 30 seconds and your Claude can make video. Link is the first line of the description, and it's in the pinned comment too. Go make something with it.